Welcome, guys. We had the qualifying session for the Austrian Grand Prix, and what a session we got. That had absolutely everything. Drama, incident, fastest lap, controversy at the end. Let's get to it. Welcome, guys. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button for future content and join me for the watch-alongs. And also give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Let's get straight into it. We'll start with Q1, and no surprises here. The usual suspects at the back. Lance Stroll takes his position at last place again. He's out-qualified by Fernando Alonso again. Alonso gets his revenge, so to speak. He out-qualifies Stroll this time around. He was beaten by Lance in Barcelona, but Fernando has done it. He's ahead of Lance Stroll. But it was a huge gap to the Cadillacs. Aston Martin now, over a second they need to find just to compete with the Cadillacs. They need to find 2 seconds plus, and they still wouldn't get out in Q1. So an awful lot of work to do for the Aston Martin boys. Now, might be looking like you're beating down on these guys, but I mean, they're just not Formula One class at the moment, and that's big for the amount of investment that they've done into that team, the personnel that they've brought into that team. They really need to up their game. Then comes the 2 Cadillacs. It's Valtteri Bottas. He can't out-qualify Sergio Perez at the moment. Sergio bests him once again. Sergio has been absolutely flying, and surprisingly to some, I just thought Valtteri might have the edge on him, but closer from Valtteri. He really just needs to get to the end of the race tomorrow. He's not seen the checkered flag for a good few races now, Valtteri, so that's really his aim for tomorrow. Then comes the 2 Williams boys, out-qualified and both beaten by the Haas and the Audi this weekend. Alex Albon out-qualified by Carlos Sainz. Sainz lines up in the grid on 17th. Williams, again, another one that needs some upgrades, and they need them to work. Then into Q2, and it got dramatic right at the end with Max Verstappen just squeezing through into Q3. Got Pierre Gasly with a lap, and he said probably all he had in that Alpine. But Max Verstappen not going for a second run, elected to keep 2 fresh soft tyres for the Q3, and in doing so put himself at risk. In that Q2 session, nearly dropped out, but luckily for him, the Alpine at the end with Pierre Gasly didn't have enough. But it was Franco Colapinto 16th, his teammate Pierre Gasly last of the Q2 in that session. Then come Esteban Ocon in P15. He's been out-qualified by his teammate again. Then comes Nico Hülkenberg in the Audi, who've bought an awful lot of upgrades, but they really seem to struggle. Nico Hülkenberg saying the tyres are gone by sort of turn 3, so still not kind on its tyres. Let's hope they've got the start sorted for tomorrow. They look better in Barcelona. They weren't falling backwards. Let's hope that can continue for them tomorrow. Ollie Berman with probably all she had with a P13 in the Haas team. He's out-qualified his teammate, so another good job from him. Then Gabi Bortoleto in P12 out-qualifies Nico Hülkenberg, so good to see him back on that run that he started early on in the season. Dropped back a little bit, but then now a good session from him. Pierre Gasly, we talked about in P11, all she wrote in the Alpine, just didn't quite have enough to get into the Q3 session, and they were beaten by the 2 Racing Bulls, who had a good session. They seem like best of the top 4, don't they, this weekend? Let's jump to the Q3 session, the big one right at the end. George Russell, the yellow flags. Was it double wave yellow? Was it single wave yellow? We've gone through all the data. It was a single wave yellow, by the looks of it, for both George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. But surprisingly, on some data, it's showing that Kimi got a signal for a double waved yellow. George Russell didn't get that. He saw it as a yellow. He lifted a 100-meter lift. You can hear it on footage on the onboard for George Russell. He clearly lifts, but it was what a mega lap to lift and still take pole position by 2/10 to the Ferrari. So hats off to him. Kimi Antonelli didn't get his run in. Up until that point, it looked like he was on it. He was over the radio, kind of disappointed and quite vocal with saying, this was the lap, this was the lap. Got the yellow. He seemed it as a double wave yellow. The lap should have been aborted, and any faster laps wouldn't have counted, but it wasn't to be that way. Toto wasn't really going into too much detail, wasn't wanting to criticise Kimi for aborting the lap, but was full of praise for George just lifting, continuing and getting pole position. But yeah, brilliant from George Russell. He now needs to make it stick in the race tomorrow. That's his big challenge. It didn't happen. It didn't work for him. Barcelona, he was beaten by the Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton, and he was also beaten by his teammate, let's not forget, but for his DNF. So George got a lot to prove in the race tomorrow. A big race for him. He'll be very happy to see that he's got pole position. His title challenger and his teammate lines up in 4th place. And it was all down to the the yellow flag controversy. But he's got to maximize that potential in the race tomorrow. And then come who look like for all the world when we see in the yellow flags of Max Verstappen dropping it. Charles Leclerc, 2nd place. What a lap when it counted. He said he was going to work on some things and change something that would help him in Barcelona. He was in new brakes in Barcelona. Didn't quite see that come off, but clearly it's worked for him. On the final run, when he wants to step up a little bit, he'd done that. He beat Lewis Hamilton to 2nd place. For all the world, Lewis had the edge on Charles Leclerc pretty much all weekend, but for when it counted. So Charles can be very, very happy with his lap. In P2, Lewis Hamilton lines up in P3, and he was just very happy to be seeing 2 Ferraris both together now. He can work with his teammate, go and attack the Mercedes, and they'll be looking for a win tomorrow. And I wouldn't put it off the cards. Strategy calls will be interesting tomorrow. We won't quite see the undercut strategy, so it'll be really good to see what Ferrari and their strategy team can do in the race tomorrow. They'll be buoyed of Barcelona. They've got confidence. They've got the weaker of the 2 Mercedes when it's come to race pace ahead of them, and they can work together to try and beat the George Russell up ahead of him. So positives from Lewis Hamilton, despite being beaten by Charles Leclerc, who's been better by or had the better of pretty much all weekend up until now. 4th place man, Kimi Antonelli, the lap that we'll never find if it was good enough or not, but in a solid position in P4. He's got a lot of work to do. He'll be just hoping that the Ferraris haven't got the race pace that we've seen and how they managed their tyres so well in Barcelona. It'll be a big factor in the race tomorrow, so watch out for Kimi Antonelli. He'll be on a charge. This guy and this kid has been on an absolute mission. Such a shame that the yellow flag came out when it did, and we didn't quite see the best of him at the end. 5th place man, Max Verstappen, and what a lap he threw in the first run on that Q3 session. Absolutely brilliant. Put his name and his hat in the ring. We were counting Max Verstappen out when at the end of Q2 when he nearly just scraped through, but boy, did he put in a lap. And such a shame when his car the rear just snapped out of him. He said afterwards that he didn't see that happening any part of the lap in the previous lap, so it took him completely by surprise, ended the session in the wall, caused the yellow flag, which should in theory have put Charles Leclerc on pole because the 2 Mercedes hadn't done a lap at that stage, and sadly we didn't get to see Max finish that lap and to finish what at that point was a really exciting qualifying session, but he'll be happier knowing that there's probably a little bit more pace in that Red Bull. He'll just be hoping that a good start tomorrow for him is crucial, something that he's not had in this Red Bull so far, because he don't want to be stuck by the 2 McLarens and to kill his tyres. He'll be looking ahead tomorrow, and he could have some good race pace. So we'll find out and see what happens on that one. Next comes the two McLarens, and I think both will be disappointed. Lando Norris in P6 out-qualifies Oscar Piastri, who's in P7. The McLarens looked really quick up in free practice, didn't they? And even up in the first two qualifying sessions, Q1 and Q2, they were splitting the two Mercedes, and it looked like, well, they'll be right there. But when it counted, the two Ferraris upped their game, something that we've not seen from them do for a little while. Generally, when they've got to Q3, we've already seen the best of them in Q1 and Q2. And it looked like it was that way around for the McLaren boys this time. Also, I don't think they quite thought they would be right up in there in the mix. So probably the others just not maximizing what they had in qualifying sessions in Q1 and Q2, like the Ferraris. But I think they'll be a little bit disappointed. They're the fourth best team, beaten by sort of the Mercedes, the Ferraris, and Max Verstappen in that Red Bull. So they'll be still thinking they've got a lot of work to do. They are the champions, and they need upgrades that come and work on this McLaren and fast. Then comes Isaac Hadjar, maybe a little bit disappointed. He's still about a tenth and a half only of Max Verstappen, so closer this session. In the earlier sessions, he was about a couple of thousandths off Max Verstappen, so he was going really well up into the Q3 session, just couldn't quite make the jump that we've seen Max Verstappen make. He obviously probably got caught out with the yellow flags also. He only had one set of soft tyres, so he would have used that on his first run, and in his better run where he would have got the better of the tyre, he didn't get to complete that lap, sadly, for Isaac Hadjar. So we won't really quite know exactly where he was. So yeah, he'll be a little bit probably disappointed with that and the yellow flags. That will probably cost him maybe a position or two higher up, but he can be happy with his job so far this weekend. Then comes the two Racing Bulls, and these two have been absolutely flying. Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad, both of them can be very, very proud of their session. I'll be hoping to pick up some points tomorrow. Just 12 thousandths of a second between the two of them, so both of them really maxing out what they had. Very, very good sessions from the pair of them, so we'll see what they can do in the race tomorrow. Let's talk to the race. Well, it's going to be strategy battles because the tyres are going to be interesting. Will they last in the heat? We've got two Ferraris. Can they split strategy and spook Mercedes and beat them again? Who will they do that with if they go down that route? We can see that happen. Kimi Antonelli could go down the alternate strategy route, knowing he's got two fast Ferraris up ahead of him, and he'll want to beat his teammate, so he could go hard on strategy. The Red Bull, we kind of don't know what they've got, do they? Max was brilliant in that session, so never count him out. Probably not enough pace for a win, but I wouldn't count him out in a podium for the race tomorrow. And well, the McLarens, I don't think they'll be hitting podiums, but they'll be hunting, and if they're reliable and they need to get to the end of the race, will be the big one for them. And we know that you just need to get to the end this season. We've seen 5 or 6 cars sort of DNF every race weekend so far. So it's going to be critical, really, isn't it, that we just see cars get to the end. But it's a big race tomorrow. Can Lewis turn it on and take back-to-back wins? He's put himself within a shout. George Russell needs to stamp down his authority in the Mercedes team with this. Sort of look in a little bit. You've got to say a pole position, but you'll take what you get, and you've got to maximize it from the position he's in. But yeah, what a brilliant qualifying session in Austria. The qualifying sessions that we thought had died and disappeared a couple of races ago are back. It was a brilliant session. But watch out for the race tomorrow. Join me for the watch along. I'll be on live 10 minutes before the race starts. So join me then. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you on the next one.